The 7% rule is essentially if you're awake between 6 a.m. and 9 p.m, you've got 15 hours of daytime, and 7% of that is an hour. So the idea is to invest 7% of your life into managing your mindset, prioritising your well-being, calming the central nervous system, establishing clear boundaries around your energy, because time management is actually energy management. When I learned how to prioritise my energy, I stopped being distracted, and that ultimately impacted my performance. So that 7% heavily impacts the other 93%.
Welcome to In the Black, a CPA Australia podcast. I'm Tan Sharp, editor of In the Black and host of this episode. Now, today's guest knows a little something about performing under pressure.
A little.
Layne Beachley is 7-time world champion of surfing and is widely regarded as one of the greatest surfers of all time. Layne, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Tan. Good to be here.
Now, today we're going to talk about the 7% rule, which is the idea that you can dedicate 7% of your day to resetting your nervous system, which is something that can help improve the way you think, the way you act, and hopefully the way you perform. But before we go there, I want to delve back into your past and take you back to when you were a young girl.
Oh, here we go.
You're learning to surf.
Can I lie down? Is this like a therapy session?
Won't be necessary. At some point, you realise as you're starting to surf that you're quite good at this. Did you ever at that stage think that that would lead to a professional surfing career?
I must have.
Yes.
But the challenge was, and you know that you understand the premise of if you can't see it, you can't be it. There were very few women for me to look up to, which then presented me with this concept of not having heroes but having mentors. So I started surfing at Manly Beach as a 4-year-old. I was paddling out the back as a 5-year-old, and by the time I'm 6 or 7, I've found my happy place. You know, the ocean still is my happy place. It's my retreat. It's where I've learned to adapt. I've learned to surrender. I've learned a true sense of freedom. I also have a healthy dose of humility when I'm in there.
Very necessary.
Very. It's also where I go to process my pains, heal my hurts, celebrate my wins. So it's my true happy place. And I say that because I ask people quite often, where's your happy place?
Yes.
Because we all need somewhere to retreat to when life gets overwhelming. And I'm very fortunate that I found not only a recreation, but also a pure passion that just drives me every day. Like every day I get up, I'm thinking, what time can I surf today? Well, first, are there waves? Second, when can I surf? So when I started competing, or when I started surfing, I had the dream of becoming a world champion at something, but I didn't really formulate that plan until later on. I was about 15. And that's when I decided I wanted to be a world champion surfer. But at the time, I was surrounded by world champions. You know, I had Barton Lynch and Tom Carroll, Martin Potter. And then the Pro Tour started coming around the northern beaches. So there was Wendy Botha, Pam Burridge, Lisa Anderson, Frida Zamba, like all the past champions. And I just kept watching them and analysing them, and then went, I'm going to beat you.
Yes. You're taking me back to my childhood, actually,
good.
remembering all those names and the sort of having awareness of the World Surfing League. Now, you've sort of built a reputation as a high-performance mindset coach in the last few years. At what point, I mean, was it during this surfing career that you became aware of the self and aware of the importance of mental health? Yes,
definitely. Until I invested myself into a certain direction, I was very easily distracted. So how I reflect on, I was on tour for 19 years. I won 7 world titles. 6 of them were run in a row. So no other surfer in history has won 6 consecutive world titles. 5 of them were in fear. 2 of them were in love. And the first 7 years of my career, I was a victim. And I call myself a victim because everything outside of me was distracting me and dictating the quality of my life to me.
Okay.
So that meant for me that I wasn't being the author, the architect, the driver. I wasn't in the driver's seat. And it's very easy to lay the blame on the conditions, the ocean, Mother Nature, things going wrong. It's really easy to blame external circumstances for my misfortune, my disappointment, my lack of ownership or my lack of vulnerability. But eventually I realised that the common denominator to all my suffering and disappointment was me, my mindset, the 6 inches between my ears. I had to change that if I wanted to win.
So those sort of things that you identified, I'd imagine that funneled through to the 7% rule.
Yes, 100%.
Can you explain how that fits into it?
Well, the 7% rule is essentially if 100% of your day is, the way that I've crafted this is that if you're awake between 6 a.m. and 9 p.m., you've got 15 hours of daylight or daytime, and 7% of that is an hour. So the idea is to invest 7% of your life into managing your mindset, prioritizing your well-being, adapting to change, calming the central nervous system, prioritizing rest, establishing clear boundaries around your energy, because time management is actually energy management. And I want to help people manage their energy better, because when I learned how to prioritize my energy, I stopped being distracted. I started establishing clearer boundaries, and that ultimately impacted my performance. So that 7% heavily impacts the other 93%. But often we focus on the bigger picture, and it's the little things that we miss. And it's the little things that actually made the biggest difference in my life, especially as a professional surfer. It was the little things, the little processes, the little micro moments, the little breaks, yes. the advantages, the competitive advantages that I found as a professional athlete weren't all technical. In an actual fact, they were mental, physical, emotional. And that helped me become the best of the best and helped me stay at the top and perform at that level over a sustained period. So that's why I believe that there's very few athletes that will win 6 consecutive world titles, because yes, you've got to have the mongrel and you've got to have the work ethic and the consistency of discipline, but you've also got to know when to pull back.
Yes.
You've got to honour that. And I didn't in the first 7 years. So the cost of not doing that is individualised. For me, it's strained relationships, it's pain management for life, it's severe injuries, it's the loss of sponsors, it's the loss of connection. There's a lot of things that I'm sure everyone can relate to. You don't have to be a world champion to learn these lessons. And that's why I love doing what I do, because yes, they're my life lessons wrapped up in winning world titles, but you don't have to be a world champion to win them and learn them.
Indeed, you don't need to be a world champion to have those pressures and to need balance.
Exactly.
And sometimes need a device to sort of help you find that balance.
Well, we use devices to actually numb us and distract us. And so that actually gets us further away from whatever balance is. I don't know if there is such a thing as life balance. You know, it's all blended into life, and it's a matter of us finding out what works for us, what do I need, and then not only asking the question, but then honouring the answer and investing in that. And that's what I want to inspire your audience to do, is invest in themselves. They're so good at investing in their clients and portfolios and trends and changes, but when do they put themselves first to actually think about, hang on, if I lose myself in this, then how can I keep showing up for the people who are relying on me to do the work I do?
Yeah, it's a question I think that a lot of accountants and CFOs and financial advisors are starting to address now is what they're doing for themselves. But certainly more can be done. Can we just pull the thread a little bit on the 7% rule and how it actually works and what it means and what someone might do to sort of start putting some of those principles in place?
Do I have to give it all away?
No, not at all. Not at all. Perhaps a little summation or a hint.
Well, they're literally actions that we can all take based on where we're at in our life. And they don't have to be all taken at the same time.
Okay.
So they're micro moments, they're micro habits that are implemented intentionally. So they're intentional shifts into our behaviours, which comes from a commitment and a belief that I am worthy of this. I am worthy of this investment into myself, such as saying no, putting boundaries around your energy and your time, being more present with your friends and family, prioritizing rest over doing and being more and having more, drinking more water. Like, they're really simple things, and they're things that we take for granted. They're things that we forget. And often when we're at our busiest state, it's when we go, I'll push all that aside. I'll wait till I get through this period and then I'll come back to it. When in actual fact, it's these 7% or these little micro moments, the 7% of your day, which is an hour over the 15 hour of your day. It's not 1 hour allocated to all of these things. It's like 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there, sunshine breaks and things like that.
Okay.
It's the micro moments that you commit to once you become aware of your operating model. We all we all operate best in 90-minute sprints. And after we hit the top of that bell curve, we actually start to decrease our levels of productivity, our levels of focus, our memory, everything starts to decline. Yet we just see that as something I have to push through. I don't have the time to stop. And there's always something urgent hijacking the important. There's always somebody needing us. There's always something that needs more attention than what we can give ourselves. And until we stop and connect with how we truly feel and go, actually, you know what? I need to just take 90 seconds, because science has actually shown that if you push through that bell curve, it results in prolonged pain and suffering. But if you honor the 90-minute sprint and you stop for 90 seconds, you'll regenerate yourself so quickly that you won't get home and be the dictator dad or the angry mum. You won't go on holiday and fall apart and get sick in the first 2 weeks and then come home and need a holiday from the holiday. Like, all of that will be skipped because you're just taking these 5-minute to 10-minute micro moments throughout your day that you've scheduled, that you've honored, that you've guarded, knowing that that's going to help you show up more consistently with more productivity. You're going to take fewer sick days. You're going to be more accurate in your work. You're going to increase your sales by 20%. There's all these scientific metrics that go behind these micro moments.
Now, I know you're speaking at our CPA Week conference in June.
Yeah.
And you'll meet lots of members, of course.
Yes.
And I guess when you speak to those members, you'll kind of, they'll let you know that it's very hard to sort of carve out an hour from the day.
I'm not asking you to carve out an hour of your day.
And I imagine the best way to sort of, the advice that you're going to give them is, as you said, to just take snatches when you can, instead of sort of when the pressure comes on and carving out the me time, you actually make sure it becomes more important to provide that to yourself, and not all at once, but in little pieces when you can.
Yeah. And that's essentially the message. You've nailed it, Tan, because if I ask you to go and take out an hour of your day, you'll think, how on earth am I going to find another hour in my day? And I'm not asking you to find any more time in your day. I'm asking you to manage your time better. And these are things that I had to learn too, because I was convinced that to be at the top of my game for as long as I was, I had to work twice as hard as everybody else. And I did that. But to what extent or to what cost? I mentioned it earlier: pain, suffering, strained relationships, isolation, loneliness, and now pain management, because I saw every breakdown as something I had to push through and overcome. It was just another goal.
Yes.
Had I just honoured my body, because it whispers before it screams.
Your body lets you know. It gives hints.
Are you listening to the whispers, or are you waiting for the screams? And now, even though it's screaming at you, are you choosing to tune in, or are you tuning out because you're like, I can't talk right now. I can't hear that right now. I need to get this done. And then you get to that moment, okay, I got it done. And instead of decompressing and doing whatever you need to do to take a break, done. All right, next. And I understand there's a lot of demands, but do you have to say yes to every single one of them? What does success actually look like for you? How do you even know if you're there? And do you take the time to celebrate it? Because you can't build on success that hasn't been celebrated. There's all these things that I've learned as an athlete that I wish I knew earlier, that I've turned into a toolkit, not just as a 1-hour keynote, but as a book and as a workshop and as a business, to help people be their better selves so they can live a better life. If you're thriving and you're happy, then you show up better, you're more productive, and you can earn more and deliver more and give more. But we tend to give to everyone else and we deplete ourselves of everything and then wonder why. It's kind of like that oxygen mask analogy, right? Everyone's sitting comfortably in their seats with their mask on, and you've run around the whole plane to make sure everyone's got their mask on, and now you're gasping for air and no one can help you.
Yes.
That's what I'm asking you to do, is just put your mask on first, but with micro moments, not with enormous shifts.
Yes.
And I understand life gets in the way. I understand that too. You know, if you have the best intentions to go to the gym, I'm going to the gym today. I've got 30 minutes and I'm going to the gym, and a child gets sick or the dog breaks its leg and you've got to go to the hospital. That's okay. But don't allow that moment today to sabotage the opportunity tomorrow.
Absolutely.
And don't beat yourself up and drown yourself in the guilt because you're not willing to forgive the fact that life happens.
Yes.
You know?
How do you switch off when you really need to, when you're under pressure and you've got a million things going on professionally and at home? A lot of members have a family. I mean, besides jumping in the water and having a surf, are there any sort of tips that you know for switching off?
Yeah, so intentionally.
Yes.
You have to do it intentionally. number one.
Okay.
Secondly, the quickest way to get out of the stress response and activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest, the pause, the play response, is through an intentional breath. And there's a variety of different breathing techniques that you can do. But if you just intentionally breathe for 1 minute and focus on your breath for 1 minute, you will reduce stress by a significant amount in your body. And that can be a physiological sigh, which is, and you intentionally relax everything on the inhale, on the exhale. It's the duration of the exhale that creates the relaxation response. Okay. Breathe in as short and sharp as you want. Obviously, the deeper you breathe in, the slower and more prolonged the exhale can be.
Right.
So a physiological sigh is take one sip and then another sip, hold it, and then until it's all out. Like intentionally suck the belly in, compress the diaphragm, expend all of that air out, and then go again. Or a box breathing technique. Breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, hold that for 4 seconds. Do that 4 times, that's 1 minute.
Yeah, great. That's pretty quick and easy.
That's really simple. Or breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 7 seconds, exhale for 8 seconds. You do that a couple of times.
Right. And I'd imagine that forces you to sort of stop, reassess, relax.
Yes.
And brings your heart rate down and brings a little bit of focus and clarity. And you can approach problems in a whole different way if you've just taken that moment to reset.
Yes. That all starts with the awareness that you're out of control.
Yes.
You're stressed, you're tense, your thoughts are racing into the future, and you're not solving anything. You're just running over. I had this on a holiday recently where I was running late to, we'd booked an adventure and I couldn't find where it was, and we were walking around San Sebastian in circles, and I'm like, where the hell is this? And I was stressed about being late because I thought they might leave without us, and I was getting really wound up and thinking about all the things that could possibly go wrong, and I was stressing myself out, and I just stopped in my tracks and went, right, where to from here? And then 30 seconds later, I found them.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's the awareness that you're in that spiral. If anyone, have you seen the movie Inside Out?
Yes.
Have you seen the second one?
I have not.
Watch the second one. That's
Okay.
when anxiety comes in.
Okay.
And anxiety takes over the whole program.
It's an overbearing emotion.
Yes. Yeah. But she takes over the teenage daughter.
Yes.
And thinks that she's serving her and supporting her growth. Because if she keeps her safe, just by keeping her aware that anything could go wrong at any time, so if I just keep scanning, then I've got this. And that's what anxiety does. So anxiety is tricking you into believing that you're keeping yourself safe.
What would you do from a leadership perspective, or how would you advise leaders who have a team of people and they're looking to maybe implement some of these principles so it becomes part of a team-based organizational culture mindset rather than an individual thing?
Yeah, so we'll work with Awake Academy for a start. But as we all know, and we've seen this in sport, if you want the team to play a different game, then you need to empower the team to come up with the rules. It can't be from a coach down, it's from players up. And you, as a team, you want to know that you're valued, that you're respected, that you're heard. And by empowering the team to identify where are they going right, where are they going wrong, and what can they implement or do to create that shift. Michael Maguire did that with the Broncos in 2025, and that's how they turned their whole season around. He's like, whatever I'm telling them is not working, so over to you guys, fix it. And it's the same for any culture, for any leadership group. Obviously team players are looking for leadership, they're looking for inspiration, they're looking for role modeling, but they're looking for permission. Essentially, that's all they're really looking for is permission. So you're telling me that it's safe to go and take a 5-minute sunshine break? You're telling me that it's wrong to sit at my desk and eat lunch? You're telling me that it's wrong to send emails at 3:00 in the morning? Or are you behaving in a way that's suggesting, actually, I'm sending you emails at midnight, seeing you at your desk instead of going out and getting some fresh air and some sunshine on your face? That shows to me that you respect the job. Like, what's the story that you're telling your team? And if the team feel permission to actually prioritize themselves, so that's why we've worked with groups like KPMG, where it's come from the CEO. He's like, I want my partners to take better care of themselves. I said, well, it comes from your leadership but then we've given them the tools. Now you need to give them permission to implement them.
Yes. What signals are you sending?
What's the signals you're sending? Yeah. What's the story you're telling and the signals you're sending?
Very good.
Yeah.
So final words of advice. If there's one thing that our accountants and CFOs and advisors should know when they go back to their desk, what should they take from today?
Oh, wow. Be intentional with your energy, which means I feel that the biggest challenge that people have, financial advisors in particular, is their lives are dominated by and consumed by volatility, change. Everything that you're focusing on is essentially out of your control. And we've all heard control the controllables, and it's such a cliche. I'm not going to give them that advice. But what I am going to ask you to do is just be intentional with your energy. So, honor, if the body's screaming, ask yourself, what does my body need right now? And then go do that.
Yes.
Take that sunshine break, drink a little bit more water, go and have that micro nap. Maybe if you're working from home, you can. Maybe not in the office, you can't. But honor that. But all we really want is we want more presence, right? And that starts with presence with the self, because when we're present with ourselves, then we can be present with each other. We can't give what we don't have. We can't give more love if we don't have self-love. We can't give compassion if we have no compassion. We can't give empathy if we don't have empathy. We can't give energy if we don't have energy. So give yourself first and give yourself permission to have that first. So yesterday I was up in the Sunshine Coast working with a whole bunch of female financial advisors. And the themes were a lot of the same. You know, they're looking for how to balance that life juggle, and they're looking for more presence with friends and family. So have you heard about the third space?
No.
Okay, so you've got, work and home, and then you've got the third space. How do you utilize that space between work and home? Because that'll influence how you walk in the door. So my advice to financial planners and accountants and people who are working in such a volatile and uncertain industry is to give yourself a bit of certainty in that third space by being intentional. That means digest whatever happened in the day before you enter the household. If you're driving, this is a really easy one. If you're driving home, when you pull into the driveway or park on the street, take 3 intentional breaths, calm it all down. And then when you get out of the car, close the door. And as you close the door, use that as a metaphor as closing the door on the day.
That's a good one.
And then be intentional about who you're going to be when you walk in that door. Find 1 to 2 or maybe 3 words. I am focused. I am present. I am grateful. Whatever it is, I am going to be that when I walk through that door. So you're intentionally putting yourself into a situation where you are empowered and that you're committing to showing up for the people that love you. Because I've received a really powerful and painful message from my husband one day when he said to me, why do I always get the broken lane? And that's unacceptable. And that's what changed me.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
It's a good origin story.
Yeah. And I had to commit to
Yes.
doing things differently. So if your loved ones are getting the most broken, depleted version of you, only you can change that. So take some deep breaths, use that third space, shut the door on the day, and then commit to who you're going to be before you walk inside.
And listen to the body whispers.
Listen to the whispers before it starts screaming.
Wonderful. Layne, thanks so much for joining us. It's been a wonderful chat. You're just as much an inspiration now as you were when I was a young fellow watching you win all those world titles.
Oh, thanks, Tan.
For our listeners eager to learn more, please refer to the In the Black website and for show links and additional resources. And don't forget that Layne will be speaking at our CPA event in June. And don't forget also to subscribe to In the Black, and please share this episode with your friends and colleagues in the business community. Until next time, thanks for listening.